V'là une fille,
Mauvais garçon,
v'là une fille.
mauvais garçon,
Alors cette vallée de l'âme qu'elle habite, viens avec moi par les sentiers interdits. Et c'est là qui nous appelle à toi ou à raison. V'là une fille, mauvais garçon. Ah, c'est là qui nous appelle à toi ou à raison. V'là une fille.
mauvais garçon.
Right, please. Philip.
Good evening, Nick.
Good evening, Philip.
I'd like you to explain to me
Yes.
how the EU gives countries money. Where do they get this money from? Because they have no money of their own. They have our money, France's money, Germany's money.
Yeah. It's the same as any governing body. It's tax, isn't it? That's where it comes from.
No, it's not the same.
Well, it is.
Absolutely is not the same.
Well, where do you think the money comes from? If it's not
Well,
tax.
it comes from us. It came from us. It came from Germany. And it's
Yeah, but
really
where does the money come from?
It comes from us.
Tax.
Yes.
Right.
But why should we give Poland 16 billion euros a year to rebuild their country for what Germany did? Why?
Well, specifically because Poland then becomes a greater purchaser of our goods and services, beneficial to us.
Obviously, you don't go to Poland, mate, so you don't understand what the Polish people are like.
What does that mean?
Well, I'm married to a Polish woman. I know what Poland's like because I've been.
Are they not like everybody else? I mean, they just want, they want a family and they want happiness and they want warmth and food.
Oh, they probably do, mate. They probably do. But the problem they have is they joined the European Union, and all that's happened for them is prices have gone up.
Well, no. Poland has actually increased its wealth, its earnings per head of population massively in the last decade or so.
16 billion euros a year.
No, that's not true. The money
it's
that they.
It's an absolute fact, mate.
But it's not. But it's not a fact. Just because you said it out loud, Philip, does not make it a fact.
It is a fact. You
but
could
it
go online
isn't.
and check it, mate. 16 billion euros a year.
The 16 billion euros is nothing. It's a drop in the bucket. What are you talking about? 16 billion euros. You think that's going to transform the finances of an entire country? 16 billion pounds. We just spent 37 billion pounds on a test and trace app that doesn't work.
Yeah, I don't deny it, mate. I don't deny it. But if someone says to you, "Come and join our club, and we'll give you shed loads of money," what are you going to do?
Philip, if somebody said, join our club, it will cost you £100 and we'll give you £1,000.
You're going to join.
Exactly. And that's what our deal was with the European Union.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No, mate, no.
Yes, Philip, it was. For every £100 we gave, we got £1,000 in benefits back.
Mate, you're deluded. Listen, when we joined in '73, which we didn't vote, nobody voted on. Nobody had a vote on joining the EU. It was Ted Heath and the royal prerogative. He joined. And then Labour gave us a vote. And it was the same question then, stay or leave. The same question, right? And what,
Philip, do you really think that the general public should be in charge of deciding complicated issues like this?
Oh, mate. What's your name? Chowman? Oh, for God's sake, mate. You must be part of the bloody People's Republic of China, mate. Don't ask the public, for Christ's sake, because they're idiots.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that you've proved my point for me.
Oh, mate. Listen, mate.
That's about must be the 20th mate you've called me. I mean, do you really think that your performance so far on this show indicates that people like you should be given major decisions, should be gifted the decision about which direction this country goes in?
Oh, God help us, mate. God help us.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
God help us.
Because nobody else will at this point.
Darren, Nick, tell me something, mate. If you think the European Union is so fantastic...
Whoever said that?
Why are you still here?
Why am I still here?
Why haven't you said to the UK, you're a waste of time, let's go and live in France or Germany?
Because, Philip, you do not speak for the majority. That's why.
No,
I actually want what's best for this country. You, and people like you, on the other hand, only want what you have been persuaded is best for you personally.
God help us, mate. God help us.
You keep saying that. God's not remotely interested.
No, he's not. No. It's an expression, mate. It's an expression. I'll give you that, right? But if you think the European Union is so good, why are you still here?
I refer you to the answer I gave some moments ago. I actually care about the future of this country. People like you don't. You are only interested in what you think is best for you.
No, well, I don't get this.
Because I disagree with you. Because I disagree with your half-formed thought that I must leave the country. Is that your position?
No, I don't want you to. I just don't understand why you think this country is so bad and that the European Union is so good. You need to go and live there. But why?
Philip, again, you're making up an argument in order to argue against it. I never said the European Union was so great and this country is so bad. That's you. You're saying that, not me.
Well, I'm sorry, mate, but that isn't what I get from you.
I'll send you some Q-tips in the post because you have waxy build-up. You're not listening to me.
Absolutely. Is this country so bad that we need...
Are you still repeating the same thing again and again?
Is this country so
bad? Yeah, I know. If the European Union is so great, why am I still here? Yeah, I heard it like the first time. And it didn't make any sense then, or the second, or the third, or the fourth, or the fifth time. You seem to be stuck in a rut, Philip. You're stuck in a rut that you can't think yourself out of. Go ahead, repeat it again.
Nick, we need a bunch of unelected bureaucrats to run this country because we are so bad we can't do it for ourselves.
We do have a bunch of unelected bureaucrats running this country. Who elected Lord Frost, the man who...
I didn't, mate.
Exactly. Bingo.
But I don't want to give the European Union shed loads of money and tell me what to do.
Telling you what to do? In what manner did they tell you what to do?
It's just how we run this country.
Yeah, but in what manner did the European Union tell you what to do?
Let's go back to the start of it, mate. Yeah?
No, just answer the question. Just do me this one favour. Answer this question.
Go on.
In what way did the European Union tell you what to do?
Policy.
In what way did the European Union tell you what to do? Intervention. What does that mean?
Well,
just concentrate. Your time on this show is coming to an end, Philip. I want you to concentrate hard. Answer this question. In what way did the European Union tell you what to do?
They introduced intervention to maintain the price of agricultural products.
Right, so you've got no idea.
It's
just one of those catchphrases that you just threw out that you thought, well, I'll just... you think you throw it out and then that's the end of the argument. No, I'm asking you a direct question. I mean, you can't answer it because you're not actually full of anything except catchphrases. Here's a good idea. Stop listening to this bloke.
I'm a nutcase.
Because it's not doing you any favours. Painful. Barnett. Hello, Gloria.
Good evening, Nick.
Gloria.
I want to pull you up on a couple of things. But before I do that, number one is I agree with everything the Labour Party is doing, and hopefully they do it successfully. Secondly, the lady that came on and said she was a Jewish lady and there's not much anti-Semitism, she wants to come to northwest London where we've had 750 attacks. And the other thing I want to say...
just on that, she was saying that there wasn't much anti-Semitism in her experience in the Labour Party.
Well, she's been very lucky then, because there wasn't. Jeremy Corbyn was the biggest one of all, and I can't think that he's still here in England. I would get him out. And the other thing I want to say is you said you can't judge somebody. I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, they're not. They're judging Prince Andrew by what he is alleged to have done. But, I mean, that's not really what we're talking about here,
I
Gloria.
understand that, but I didn't understand. You don't judge people, but you do judge people by the circles they mixed in, and that's what Corbyn was doing.
Right. OK, so you're happy that in the direction of travel for the Labour Party?
I am, but I am a Conservative, and I say good luck to Boris Johnson, and long may he continue. I know you don't agree with that.
No, so you're happy with the direction of the Labour Party as a Conservative?
Yes.
Right, OK. Thanks, Gloria. Middlesbrough, hello, Dee.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Majority of what I'm really going to say is more like questions that I haven't really got an answer to, but I think you used the right word when you said essential. I don't really think many young people see it as essential, and I don't think they've been convinced enough or overly coerced enough to still assume that it's essential that they get the vaccine personally. Right,
but unless they have really strong objections to it, then surely the prospect of a free pizza might make them think again.
I think when you use the term carrot, I think why should there be a carrot if something was paramount? I don't see I think the link is too much of a primitive, babified bit.
So, are you saying that the government should go straight in and insist on it?
No, I think they should leave it completely up to choice. I think previously the government were very helpful by expressing how young people weren't greatly affecting the transmissibility of the vaccine of the virus, but.
Well, I'm not sure they ever said that. I don't think they ever said that young people are
not necessarily the government, maybe the CDC or the WHO.
No, I don't think anybody has ever said that young people aren't involved in the transmissibility of the virus. I think they've said perhaps that the virus doesn't affect young people in the same way that it would affect the old and the infirm. Maybe that.
Yeah, I was under the assumption that they also proclaimed to be asymptomatic, and as a result weren't able to transmit it. Symptomatic people tend to cough and sneeze a lot more than those who
perhaps
aren't symptoms.
But you can pass it on if you're asymptomatic. That's also true. Are you under 29, D?
I am.
Have you had your jab yet?
No, I haven't.
So have you made a decision, a strong decision that this isn't for you?
It's just as much of a decision as it has been prior to knowing the COVID vaccine ever existed. Previously, when flu jabs were available to me, I was fairly comfortable in how I responded to it, not only as my body, but also in terms of other people. If I felt ill, I didn't go and work that day. If I wouldn't go and visit my grandmother,
right?
I wouldn't. I took just as much stressful choice as a.
So do you get your flu vaccine?
No.
Why not?
Again, just echoing what I said, I've always felt that once I've had it, I was from growing up in school, that you develop somewhat of a natural, if not a naturally weakened, but a natural immunity once you've caught a flu virus.
Next
time you have it,
I don't think that actually works with. I'm no expert, but I don't think it actually works with the flu virus because it changes all the time, doesn't it? Like, just because you've had it one year doesn't mean to say that you can't catch it again. I don't think that's the same. It's the same with some. That's the case with some diseases, but not with the flu, and not with this either. I mean, and you're right. If you catch some disease, then you get an immunity to it, assuming it doesn't kill you, I suppose. So what about then the prospect of free stuff? Would free stuff change your mind?
No. It feels a bit patronising.
Right. Middlesbrough. Hello, George.
Yeah, hello. You're complaining that youngsters are being given A+ stars like Smarties and stuff at school and everything, and encouraged to go to university and stuff. No. Hang
on a minute. It's got nothing to do with going to university. I'm saying that what I was saying was, if everybody gets an A, then an A doesn't mean anything anymore.
I said that a few weeks ago. I said that people should be encouraged to learn for sort of more blue-collar jobs, vocational training. And today you're complaining that people are getting A+ stars. Well, where does that take them?
What does that mean?
Well, they're going to go on to university, aren't they?
Well, if they want to. But there's only so many places at university, and if everybody gets an A star, then the universities are going to have the same problem as an employer. They won't be able to tell the difference between one and the other. If everybody has the same glittering array of exam results, then how can you tell the difference between them, other than how they talk, how they hold themselves, and what school they went to? So the private school pupils will win again.
It's not about private schools.
It is.
You're saying, you're complaining that people are being given A plus grades,
Yes.
like Smarties.
Right.
And a few weeks ago, I said to you, there should be a generation encouraged to do vocational training.
Right.
And you argued back with us. But tonight...
No, I didn't.
Tonight, you're saying...
I argued back with you. Well, what did I say? I said that people should not do vocational training?
No, you were saying that people should be encouraged to educate themselves, to go on to higher education.
Is that not a good idea?
And not be plumbers or lorry drivers or bricklayers.
Learning how to be a plumber is education.
You said a few weeks ago that people should be encouraged to just go on to higher education and stuff.
Right.
And tonight,
they should be encouraged to be educated. That
people are being given A-star pluses.
That's right.
Like Smarties.
Yes.
So what's it meant to be? Should people be encouraged to go to vocational training, or should people? You've said already to a previous caller.
Yeah.
That people are being led a fantasy.
Yes.
That, right. So what's it meant to be?
George, the two have nothing to do with each other. What are you talking about? If 60-odd% of people who sit an exam get an A, then an A doesn't mean anything anymore. An A is a C. The current A is what a C used to be. If that's your average grade, then it's a C. It's not an A. And so people are thinking that they are geniuses when they can barely write their own name. So that's one thing, and I think it is a good idea for people to get more educated than they are at the moment. For everybody, regardless of what their educational attainment is, education is a good thing. But so is vocational training for those who have an ability in that area. I don't see what your point is.
My point, a few weeks ago, I told you that people needed to be encouraged to blue-collar training.
Right.
You argued back. And
But,
you
what,
said,
what did I say?
You need to go on to higher education.
Yeah, but...
And tonight...
No, I didn't.
Tonight you're saying, people are being given A-plus grades.
Well,
like
what's
Smarties.
that got to do with it?
So you're complaining about, you're directly contradicting yourself.
That's got nothing to do with it.
No,
people getting A-star grades at A-level has got nothing to do with going to either vocational training or to a higher education at universities. What have they got to do with each other?
I said to you a few weeks ago...
Please don't say the same thing again. You're not making sense, so you're going to have to put it another way. Don't just keep repeating yourself.
Tonight you're complaining...
You're repeating yourself.
Tonight you're complaining
you're
that
repeating
youngsters
yourself.
are getting A grade plus stars.
Oh my God! It's like doing a show in the Alps. There's an echo in here. Anyway, George, you're going to have to think it out again. You're making no sense. You get a D. Fail. Cambridgeshire. Jim.
Hi, Nick.
Yes, Jim.
Hi, I've got to say, Nick, I've listened to a multitude of different radio presenters, and I've got to say,
I am the worst.
Quite honestly, no, they're polar opposite. I really, and I'm not being disingenuous in any way, shape, or form. Anyway, Nick,
well, thanks, Jim. Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I appreciate everything that you just said.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to stroke your ego too much, though, Nick. Let's because not that you have a big ego, but I just want to move on.
Let's not get carried away. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. One of the things I want to talk about is this climate change stuff, Nick. What do you think about it?
I'm against it.
You're against it? Okay, so you're a conservative on that whole thing, yeah?
A conservative? Well, I wouldn't put it like that.
Well, you're a denier, a conspiracy sort of theorist, yeah?
Well, which conspiracy theory did you have in mind?
Do you believe in climate change, Nick?
Do I believe that
anthropomorphic climate change?
Right. Do I believe that the human activity is responsible for the changing climate?
Affirmative.
or that the climate is actually changing. Yes, on both counts.
Okay. Well, one of the things I wanted to sort of try and adumbrate, Nick, is that this great nation is responsible for the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
And I think it incumbent upon us morally to pay reparations to the other nations of the planet
Well, let's...
for the climate crisis which we've inevitably caused.
Wait a minute. If we hadn't been first, then somebody else would have been first. I mean,
oh, come on, Nick, don't.
It's not
that's beneath you.
Of course not.
Come on.
If we hadn't invented the spinning jenny, wow, I pulled that one out of the air. My education was worth it, no?
No.
Not really. The spinning jenny, if we hadn't invented that and everything else that went with it, the steam engine and, machines that go bang, then somebody else would have done it for us.
Stuff.
Huh?
Only the medicinal stuff I praise.
The medicinal?
Yeah, the dentistry, the antibiotics, the things like that. The other stuff, the mechanised nonsense, I've got no real time for, Nick.
Yes, of course you do. Everything that surrounds you was brought to you by the Industrial Revolution.
And I'm saddened by it. I'm a Luddite.
I bet you're not. You're talking to me on a mobile phone. I bet you're talking to me on a mobile phone. Guilty.
Yeah, it's a friend. It's a friend.
Yeah, right. You're sitting in a house with central heating.
No, I'm outside in the field, surrounded by a couple of cows and Pete.
Yeah, but you don't live there, though, do you?
No, it's Pete's phone.
Right, so you live in a house with central heating and double glazing and foam insulation walls. I bet they got one of those things, they stick it in your wall and squirt foam insulation in there. See, Industrial Revolution. You're describing Pete, but good try. Right, okay, well, I don't know where this is going or in fact, where we've been, but... but thanks for taking us on that little trip to nowhere. Cheers, Jim. Let's have the longest. Seven Oaks. Hello, Mark.
Hi. You challenged people to defend Johnson, and so I'll have a go. I think you're being unfair to him because you say that when he went to uni, he studied a course that had no possible use with his work, and he did this to demonstrate how rich he was, that he didn't need to do something like that. And this course essentially involved studying fairy tales. But then you go on to say that often during the course of his jobs, he's been telling fairy tales. So his course was not quite as useless as you might imagine. Right. Good point. Yeah. And then, I mean, Brexit has, on the point of Northern Ireland, failed. And Johnson's admitted this, and he's negotiating a new deal with the EU. A new. They're not going to give him a new deal. He hasn't honoured the last deal yet. Well, he wants another deal. Of course he does. But what he wants is to be able to do whatever he wants. That's what he wants. Yes, but you're restricting him in that. You see, the polling evidence shows that most people want another vote on EU membership. Oh, my God. And there's a mandate from the last election to have won this Parliament. And if people decided they wanted to join, that would solve the Northern Ireland issue completely. No more referendums. None at all. Well, there is a mandate for one this Parliament. I don't care. All right. Well, the other point, of course, is that the last referendum, it's been dealt with now. We've left because that's what was voted for. Mm. So it's history, and it should have no more effect on what we do next. Are you kidding me? It's going to affect us from now until the end of time. I know what you're trying to say, but it's a no from me, and furthermore... No. No, we're stuck with it now. We're just going to have to suffer a reduced future, a poorer future, because that's what people voted for, apparently. Mark, I'm going to have to go. I cannot have that conversation again. I just can't. Tyne Weir. Hello, Alan.
Oh, hello.
Alan.
Hi. I'm ringing either with your past the subject now, but just returning to your observations on European structural funding. I wanted to sort of put a little bit of a spanner in the works, really. This isn't. I used to work in the structural funds, and this isn't some sort of largesse that comes from Europe.
You used to work in the structural funds?
Yes, I was a technical advisor in the European structural funds, and the money that funds the structural funds comes from contributions from member states. Obviously, that's the only place where the money comes from.
Yeah.
And it's redistributed according to the, if you like, the
poverty
wealthy
of the area, according to need
of the individual countries.
Yeah.
Which results in the fact that our contribution vastly exceeds the money we get back. It was the most inefficient way of, if we remained in Europe, it would be the most inefficient way of funding structural change.
Well, it very much depends, Alan, on whether the government of the day is prepared to give as much or more money than the European Union decided to give individual areas.
Well, it's not a case of the European deciding. It's a case of what the government determines it can allocate outside its own agenda. But apart from that, the problem is that it is a very expensive way of funding structural change.
You keep saying that, but it doesn't really make any difference if the area is not going to get any money from central government that they would have got from the EU.
Yes, but we have to recognise this is a very new program or set of programs that is. I haven't researched them. I don't know how far they're getting along with it. There is some progress, I understand, being made on certain community funds. But we are barely into the development of our new profile, if you like.
I guess the time will tell. Now, would you, if you had to bet your house on this Conservative government giving as much money to Wales, for instance, or the poor people of the North, as they used to get from the European Union, or spending that money on consultants and themselves, which way would you bet?
Well, first of all, there was a huge amount of money wasted in the administration of the European funds. But to answer your point directly, I think the jury's out. Possibly not. It depends whether this is a Tory government that lives up to its promises or not.
You're funny, Alan. Is this a Tory government that lives up to its promises? Okay, well, it's been in for quite a good while now. So what do you think? Yes or no?
I say the jury's out on that one.
No, it's not. It's not. You have to choose right now. Yes or no?
I couldn't choose. I really couldn't.
Well, I'll choose for you. It's a no. And furthermore...
No.
You can't believe a word they say. If they say it's sunny outside, pack an umbrella. But I appreciate the insight. Thanks a lot, Alan.
Trying to connect you. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Yes, I am sorry to keep Bobby in Retford waiting. Bobby.
Oh, my God, I was snoring there. I've been waiting and waiting. I only phoned to moan at you.
Are you kidding me? You've only been waiting 8 minutes.
I've only been waiting to moan at you, and I've just Googled what I'm moaning at you for, and it turns out I'm wrong anyway. I was phoning you just to say no, not no more.
Not no more.
Not English.
No,
it's not grammar.
No,
and you're talking about
No.
No, not no more. Yes.
No, not no more. And I could, because one should really say no, not anymore. But apparently both are grammatically correct. So I'll just leave you to that. But I just want to ask you also, what is your topic of conversation today? You're losing me. I'm trying to keep up with you as what you're going to be talking about. You're waffling on, and I hate, no disrespect, I hate all these noises. Is that your idea? Or is that the man in the control room that's doing all those buttons?
Bobby, I think you're listening to the wrong show. That's my advice to you. Go listen to another show. You'll be happier listening to another show. Maybe you should go listen to another show, Bobby. Or you could maybe go for a walk or stare out the window. Take the dog for a walk. Make yourself a cup of tea. Have a nice piece of cake. Treat yourself. You deserve it. God, another one of these people. Oh, I heard something on the radio and it wasn't to my specific requirements, so I want it changed. Dear BBC, I'm watching Match of the Day and I don't like football. Can you take it off, please? Because I'd rather not reach all the way over for the remote. Islington, Arman.
Yes, hi, Nick.
Arman.
Yes.
How old are you?
10 years old.
10 years old. Do you have permission of the person that pays the bills to be making this call?
Yes.
Are you being supervised by a trained professional?
Yes.
Okay, then. Go ahead.
So what I'll talk about is that children should not get the vaccine because it might have side effects. So let's just wait like a couple of years just for children to get the vaccine because it might have some side effects and we want more children to have it. So, yeah. And also, the side effects might be that children can become paralyzed in some places of the body.
Blimey. Well, I hadn't heard that. So you're concerned that children are going to be persuaded to, or forced, actually on threat of not being citizens anymore, to get the vaccine. Children are going to get forced to get the vaccine. Is that what you're worried about?
Yes.
Right. Well, I don't think anywhere in the world is giving vaccines to 10-year-olds, so I think you'll swerve this problem, Armand. But you may know, you may have like an older brother or sister who's 16 who is probably going to be persuaded under threat of punishment to get just that very thing. Other countries, I think, are doing it.
I do have an older brother, but he would not prefer to get the vaccine.
Right. How old is he?
11.
11, right, okay. Well, I don't think that's going to be a problem for him either. But it may be in the future. You may have to wait, knowing what's coming, because that needle may be coming your way, Armand, but not for a good long while. So don't worry about a thing. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
See? Let's have a call in Sevenoaks. Hello, Mark.
Hi there.
Mark.
I'd like to ask you whose votes you think Keir Starmer will lose if he makes having another vote on EU membership Labour policy.
God, you again. Do you ever think of anything else? You call this show all the blooming time, and the only thing you ever talk about is having another vote to re-enter the European Union. It's not going to happen. You must know that it's not going to happen.
Do you think he'll lose as a result? I mean, why isn't he supporting that?
Because he thinks that it's a losing issue, which it probably is. People just don't want to think about it. It's like the virus. We've had it up to our eyeballs with it. It's been year after year after year, and we just can't take it anymore. Can we talk about something else now, people think? I think it's got to the point that we don't care if we do die. We don't care if we get poorer. We don't care if we are unemployed for the rest of our lives. We don't care if they take their house. We don't care if they take our dogs. We don't want to talk about the EU anymore.
But you keep moaning about the problems of being outside the EU.
Yeah. Well, I don't like to say I told you so, but I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. All of these things were telegraphed ahead of time.
Yeah, sure, but how is it consistent?
Except for in the
Telegraph.
Telegraph.
Moaning about it and not want to do anything about it. That's what I don't understand.
Are you kidding me? This is Britain. That's what we do for a living here, moaning about stuff and not doing anything about it. That's our national motto, mustn't grumble while grumbling. This sounds like a very unpatriotic call to me.
Well, how does he think people are going to vote for Johnson? Because they don't like Brexit. I mean, that seems strange to me.
They voted for Johnson because he said he was going to get Brexit done.
Yeah, but only a few people voted for him for that. And
rubbish. The vast majority of
didn't.
Nonsense. The vast majority of people that voted for Boris Johnson did so specifically because he said he was going to get Brexit done.
I don't think the vast majority of people who voted for Boris Johnson. I'm talking about the majority of people as a whole. I mean, it's not just the people who are going to vote who voted for Boris Johnson who have a vote in the next election.
Yeah, but the majority, though, who voted for Boris Johnson are going to vote in the next election. The majority who didn't, who are younger, won't.
Well, if he gets a policy that might excite them, like, for example, having freedom of movement, then it might encourage them. I don't see who's going to change their vote against the left parties or the centrist parties if they have such a policy.
Here's the problem.
I don't see that anybody who is a Brexiter
please, Mark,
is going to vote for them.
Mark, stop droning on about rejoining the EU. It's not going to happen. I have this conversation with you on virtually a weekly basis, and we always come to the same conclusion. You say, "Oh yes, we will," and I say, "No, we won't," and that's the end of it.
But where is your evidence for this?
My evidence is that people who vote for Boris Johnson go to the polls. Older people is the problem. If indeed you do see this as a problem, it's old people. Old people vote. Young people don't in anything like the same numbers. Old people got us Brexit. Old people got us the Conservative government. It's old people. In fact, it's retired, non-economically active, retired people brought us Brexit and the Conservative Party, and they will win again next time because young people don't vote in anything like the same numbers. So,
going back to my question, whose vote is he going to lose by making that policy? Whose vote is he going to lose by?
I think that the people who voted for Boris Johnson this time round will re-solidify their opinion that he is their man if Keir Starmer comes out and says that we are considering rejoining the European Union. And what Starmer has to do is get those people back. So it's those people he will continue to find absent.
Well, first of all, my calculations indicate he doesn't have to get them back. All he has to do is get everybody else together.
Yeah. Well, what you mean is all he has to do is to get young people to go and vote. They won't do it.
Well, even just the people who voted last time against Boris Johnson will be enough under the current situation.
No, it won't, because some of them will vote for Labour, some of them will vote for the Green Party, some of them will vote for the Lib Dems on the left. It will be split between those parties. On the right, there's only the Tories. So they will get all of the right votes, and we will get another minority Conservative government with a huge majority of seats, because that's the screwed up system that we run.
But Keir has been saying that he's thinking about
proportional representation.
A centre-left amalgamation in the next election.
Well, I don't know whether he is or he isn't. First he said he wasn't going to, and then he said he is going to, and I've got no idea where he is.
Well, I mean, that is my only hope, that the next election is going to go well.
Well, the only hope, if this is actually your hope, the only hope for a non-Conservative government next time around is if he does just that. But the Lib Dems are saying that they're not into. I mean, in Scotland, they actually said that they have no intention of working with the Labour Party at all, and that their best friends in the whole wide world are actually the Conservative Party that they're going to work with.
Well, I'm not aware of that, but the Liberal Party in Scotland, I think, is not a large proportion of the entire electorate.
Well, no, it's not.
Because Scotland
it's a pretty outrageous. It's pretty.
No.
Just there goes all hope. If that's what's going to happen.
The only hope I have with that is there's a small number of people.
Yeah, but you know what, Mark? We have experience of this, because they entered into a coalition with the Conservative Party. They could have done it with Labour, but they didn't. They went with the Conservatives.
Yeah, I hope they were going to do it with Labour, but the difficulty at that time was that they would also have to have done it with a number of other people, and
the left just can't get their act together because they keep fighting with themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that they should have had a go with Gordon Brown's government last time, but. Anyway, hopefully they've learned their lesson about that.
Yeah, right. Because that's what the left do, learn their lesson. No, they're still fighting now, they'll be fighting from now until the end of time. It's a purity contest, whereas the right don't have any compunction about any of that. They don't have a moral problem with all getting in line and lying about the same thing.
Yeah, well, The other thing that intrigues me is I haven't heard the Conservatives say that a vote for Labour is a vote to reverse Brexit, although that's obviously a line they could take, given...
Well, not really, because Keir Starmer hasn't said that.
No, but given the fact that he would almost, if he became Prime Minister, it would be in a coalition, and given the fact that the other parties have a reputation as rejoiners, that appears to be a perfect line they could take, but they're not taking it now, which is why I'm taking it, because...
But why would they take it now? We don't have a general election at the moment. What would be the point of them doing it now?
Well, the point of them not doing it now is to let Labour think they can go along this line of trying to woo the former Red Wall seats and so on, and I think they're going to get nowhere with it, because come the next election, this line will be brought out.
I think that the only way to get the Red Wall back is for the Red Wall to experience the magnificence that is Brexit. And when all their businesses fold and their jobs go to the wind, and the fishing people, the experience that the fisher persons have had is more widely spread, then perhaps they'll think, well, maybe they've been had. But I wouldn't hold my breath. Mark, I've got to go. I feel the energy sapping out of me. Here to talk about this is Paul Richard, a Labour commentator and former government special advisor. Hello, Paul.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. So am I right in thinking that this is about Jeremy Corbyn?
Yes, you are, because it flies in the face of any kind of normal HR process where you hand sensitive issues around disciplinary cases of employees over to an annual conference of people who don't know the cases and assemble for 1 week and then disappear. And so it's not a sensible process for handling complaints. It is about embarrassing Keir Starmer and trying to get Jeremy Corbyn reinstated.
Can we just recap where we are with this? Because Corbyn was thrown out of the party, but for a relatively brief period, after 19 days. He had the whip restored. But what's his position now? Oh, no, he didn't. He didn't have the whip restored, did he? That's not
right.
True.
Yeah, so you're right. So the whip is still withdrawn. So he's not a Labour MP. He is a member of a Labour Party, just a rank and file member of the Labour Party, but he's not a Labour MP, which of course would mean he wouldn't be able to stand as a Labour candidate if there was a general election anytime soon. And he hasn't fulfilled the criteria that was set out that would allow him to come back in. He made a statement sort of suggesting that the anti-Semitism wasn't really a serious issue, even though the EHRC said it was, and he hasn't retracted that. So he's placed himself out of membership of the Parliamentary Labour Party, and that's where he will stay for the foreseeable.
But did he say that it was not a serious issue, or did he say more that it had been blown up out of all proportion?
Well, I think those two statements are the same. He basically undermined it, said it was all sort of got up politically, as all people out to get him, it was all a big conspiracy and all this sort of stuff, and didn't seem to take in any way seriously the incredibly serious accusations that were made, and nor indeed the process that was then put in train to try and sort out the anti-Semitism crisis, which includes an independent process of handling complaints, which is what Labour's now moving towards, which is why, to loop it back to your original question, this idea of the conference deciding who is and who isn't a Labour MP is an absolute nonsense.
But there is some truth in what he said, though, isn't there? That, I can't remember anybody getting so much grief, so much of a constant attack from the right-wing press, than, apart from perhaps Meghan Markle, than Jeremy Corbyn.
Is that true? I mean, what about Neil Kinnock? What about Ed Miliband?
Not demonised to that extent.
What about Gordon Brown? Well, I disagree. I think every Labour leader gets this. The question for each Labour leader is, how do you handle it? What's your strategy for dealing with it? You're going to get torn down by the press, and you're going to get attacked by right-wing papers, and that's comes with the job. The question is, what do you do about it? And his solution was, the Jeremy Corbyn solution was to try and put everything into the hands of a few bloggers and these sort of left-wing websites and stuff, and that doesn't work. And you have to have a proper media strategy of dealing with it. Plus, he came with baggage that the others haven't come with. He really has got some of those things in his past that no Labour leader has ever had before. Don't need to rehearse it all now, but you'll know what I'm talking about. And therefore those issues came under scrutiny and under attack as well. So you can't just say, oh well, he was uniquely unfortunate.
Well, you could surely say the same as you just have about Boris Johnson, and yet he gets a pass. Oh, it's just Boris. He was just making a joke and not to be taken seriously, and he's a good egg.
I think it's a very different question. I mean, it is. I agree, it's baffling as to why he does get so many passes. But his sort of things you can attack him on are personal peccadillos, failings, immoralities. Things he's done in his past, things he's said, which are pretty revolting. But that they aren't sort of part of his worldview that is sort of anti-British or siding with terrorists or doing the sort of things that really do get people extremely worked up. And somehow with Boris, it's kind of priced in, isn't it? You sort of wonder what he'd have to do to get the public to turn against him. It is part of his carefully choreographed kind of persona he's built up.
Well, let's talk about Keir Starmer just for a moment. He is not really punching through with the public, is he? And his latest announcement, if I can call it that, was that perhaps we should celebrate the legacy of Tony Blair more. Well, surely if there's anything that's going to get the public riled up and furious, it's him saying something like that.
Well, it's not the first time he's said it. I mean, he has said it consistently all the way through his leadership election and, now that he's leader. And it's only really in little bits of the Labour Party where that's seen as an odd thing to do, because if you're a political leader and you distance yourself from your own party's achievements in government, people will say, well, why should we trust you in the future? So, of course, he's talking about things like the Good Friday Agreement, the National Minimum Wage, Short Start, things that the public do support and do recognise were solid achievements, even if they don't necessarily vote Labour anymore. An impartial person would say those things were achievements of the Labour government. So why shouldn't he say, let's talk about those things? Not to try and repeat the past, of course, the 90s are over, but to say, well, it's an indication of how he might govern in the future and to give people some reassurance that Labour can govern in a sensible sort of way.
But the public aren't buying it, are they? I mean, his popularity ratings, even as Boris Johnson's fall, Keir Starmer's fall too. How is he not doing better?
Well, I think that's the key question, actually. That's a very fair question. I mean, you talked about the conference. That will give him a chance to put forward a strong platform. A really good speech is important. We are going to need to see some more concrete policies that exemplify the new values and the new sense of where we're going. He's had it's not an excuse, but he has had a terrible year in terms of COVID, blanking out all normal politics and not really allowing him to connect with people face to face or through the media or anywhere else, because COVID has dominated everything, quite rightly. So he's had a difficult first year, but I think the polls will start to shift if we get a sort of sense of normality back into politics and people can see there is a contest between two leaders. And there's no reason why he can't do well. He isn't a great showman. He's a solid public servant with sound values and a lot of experience, and that can be persuasive. Look at Joe Biden. He's not a great showman, but he got himself elected US president, so it can be done.
Well, yes, but Joe Biden spent $1 billion to get where he is, and B, he was up against the most divisive person in politics that I can remember in my lifetime. So the situation is slightly different.
It is slightly different, but it's sort of, it's not that long ago, maybe 2 years ago, we were saying that populist leaders like Trump, like Boris, are all conquering and there's nothing anyone can do. And those wheels have come off that particular wagon, I think. The sort of populism isn't as potent as it was, and people are electing sort of sound social democratic leaders around the world. And, there are signs of hope in places like New Zealand, for example. So, it's there for him to win, Keir Starmer. He has to do certain things. He has to certainly step up the modernisation of the party. He has to give no truck whatsoever to the people howling with outrage this weekend about, letting Jeremy Corbyn back in and make it really clear to the public that is over, that conversation is over, and put forward some policies that people go, well, yeah, that's something that speaks to me about my life in the future.
Well, that's an interesting thing to say, isn't it? Because whenever his name comes up on my show, people, the refrain that I get from people is that they have no idea what he stands for. What are his policies? What's he going to do if we vote for him? Who is he?
Yeah, and as I say, that's an entirely reasonable question. And you can't just win by being a safe pair of hands and being, a responsible leader and having good public service credentials, you do have to have a radical, exciting policy programme too. But, we're at least 2 years away from an election. Labour hasn't had its policy review yet, and we're going through that process. So those policies need to start coming soon, but it's still early days, and it's only not yet halfway through this Parliament. So, and Labour's an awfully long way to go. So, you're right, these things have to happen, but the plan is there in place for them to happen as we near an election next year and the year after.
What is interesting about Jeremy Corbyn is that either the public just took against him or were persuaded to take against him by the billionaire offshore press barons' campaign against him, but his policies, his manifesto, people liked until they knew that it was his manifesto. I used to do this with people who called me, and I'd read some of the things that he was proposing, and almost universally they'd say, yeah, I'll vote for that, I like that. And then I'd tell them whose policies they are, and they say, oh, no.
I mean, well, first of all, two things. That shows, the extent to which he personally was a drag on the ticket. Absolutely poisoned Labour's brand with his own background and the stuff in his own background. That demonstrates that. The problem with saying, would you like free dentistry? Well, who's not going to say yes to that? Would you like free broadband? Yep, that sounds good. Would you like to work a 4-day week? Yes, of course. If you add them all up into a manifesto and say, look, this is what Labour says it's going to do, people are just laughing in our face when they saw the accumulation of all of the free stuff, because people are not stupid. And they know, well, OK, you've got to prioritise something. You can't just say you're going to do it all in one great big go. And at the end of 4 years, there'll be a 4-day week, apparently, with every public service free, millions of new jobs, green economy in 5 years. And people just didn't believe it. That's why they're laughing at us. So you're right that individual policies are popular, but the accumulation of them became laughable, and the person leading the party became repellent to the voters, and therefore we lost as hugely as we did.
Yeah, I would agree about the policies that you just mentioned, but those weren't the ones that I would usually talk about. They were more increasing the tax burden on the wealthy, increasing or renationalising some of our essential services like the railways and so on. These are still popular policies.
Well, like I say, individual policies do poll well, and there are strong arguments for all kinds of things, like ending the franchising system on the railway. But people don't believe it if you say you're going to do all of it overnight. People don't believe that that's possible. Nor do they necessarily want, civil servants running the sewage farms and, nationalising Sainsbury's and this sort of stuff, where, some of the people in the Labour Party wanted it all to end up. So, there was a sort of slight distrust, I think, of an overarching state as well. But, we do need a new economic approach and a fair tax system. We need better public services, and COVID has proved all of those things. And, again, that may be a suggestion that Keir Starmer will have a fairer wind at the next election, because people are recognising the value of our public servants and the National Health Service and the need to pay for it all. So maybe the ground has shifted even since 2019.
Yeah, just finally on that subject, the next election, I suspect that it will go as usual. The Conservative Party will put aside their internal wrangling, and they'll all line up and speak from the same hymn sheet. People will know exactly what they stand for, and they will look together and in step. The Labour Party, on the other hand, will tear itself to bits, form a circular shooting party, and kill itself.
Well, it can go one of two ways, can't it? Labour can either do exactly as you described, which, let's face it, it's managed several times in the past, or we can learn from that history and pull together and come up with a coherent programme. And the Conservatives, yes, they had a very disciplined campaign in 2019, but they had an absolute shocker in 2017. So, they may go the other way. We don't know. The thing we know about politics, surely, is that, you can't predict the future from the past because it's entirely unpredictable.
It certainly is. Thank you, Paul. County Durham. Hello, Sean.
Hello, mate. How are you doing?
Good, thanks.
I've got a couple of points for you. The card shops, they sell Christmas cards already, so I don't see where. What about Easter eggs? They come out in January. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, but that's not for the Easter after January. That's for the following year.
This is a very important day. I think the internet should be banned.
Quite right.
You know that it's evil, mate.
Mm-hmm, yes.
You know these sites. How the hell can they not flick a switch on these sites that are evil? Like
which ones?
Why the ones that lad was looking at that killed the 5 people at Plymouth?
God. Well, if you take off everything that is awful from the internet, then you'll just be left with puppy dog videos.
Well, that's very good. That's very good. That's very good. That's what needs to happen. The internet, look at all these billionaires that are making billions out of the internet, man, and they won't flick a switch for these thick, horrible sites.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
Well, I don't think that the internet is the greatest disseminator of misinformation that has ever been invented. I mean, you could use it for good things. You could use it to look up stuff, to check facts, to educate yourself. But almost nobody uses it for that. They use it to, to sort of splash about in the ooze of humanity. Ew. I've just grossed myself out. Ooze. Oh.
Disgusting.
Horrible. But, it's by turning off parts of the internet, you're not actually going to make much difference, I suspect. Because the internet just reflects human beings. It's who we are, blown large. It's who we are without the public face that we put on. It's really who we are, the internet, because you only can really express who you are deep down when you are anonymous, and it allows you to be just that. So it's educational in a way, because it does show you what people are actually like, not this pretend politeness that we go around and cloak ourselves in. We're a twisted ball of ire and fury. Ain't that right, Sean?
I just don't understand it, mate. I just don't understand why they can't be wiped off. You know what I mean?
Because there's too much of it. I don't know what the actual numbers are, but there's something like, I'll just make them up. There's 1,000 hours of video content go up on YouTube every minute. Can you believe that?
Yes.
Yeah, it's probably something like that. How on earth can they can they police that? Can't be done.
Well, somebody's looking at it. Somebody's controlling it.
Well, yeah, but they're not the people who can flick it away. I mean, billions and billions of websites and posts go up on a daily basis, probably every hour. Billions of them every hour. How can any corporation hope to police all of that? It just can't be done.
I don't understand why they can't be done. Like it's sick, mate. It's sick to the back teeth, these internets.
Well, yes, but on the other hand, so are books. You know, there's information and opinions relating being written about and published in books that people like you might find to be questionable at best. So should we ban them too? I mean, where do you draw the line?
I don't know, mate. I just think it's absolutely sick, mate, that people are looking at these kind of things.
Yeah, well, people are looking at them because they're sick. It might not be the things that they're looking at that make them sick. They're looking at them because they're sick. Anyway, I wish you all the best, Sean. Turn the computer off and walk away. Brighton. Hello, Dave.
Hello, hi. Hi, Nick. Yeah, what I was going to say is that you're presenting it, and it is being presented by the government as a fairly cut and dried issue, and assuming that the advantages of young people getting vaccinated are far outweigh any disadvantage that there may be, but that isn't necessarily the case. And it's not a conspiracy theory or anything. This is scientists have come up with this. That basically, if you get immunity by actually catching a disease, that is generally speaking a stronger immunity and a better immunity than the immunity you get artificially from a vaccine.
Is it?
Yes. Yeah. They've been doing studies to see whether that is the case with COVID. It's the case in general. And
okay.
The studies seem to indicate
I don't know,
that
but
it is.
I'll take your word for it until shown otherwise.
Well, it is okay. Your body, generally speaking,
right, does
a better job than.
The problem with that, though, is that if if that's the route that we want to take, then there's going to be a lot of people who die. I mean, it may produce a similar or, as you suggest, better response than the vaccine, but the vaccine isn't going to kill you. Catching COVID might.
Well, let me have you. Do you know about the position with the dengue vaccine in the Philippines?
I'm unfamiliar with it. Is it relevant?
Well, yeah, it is insofar as it points out unforeseen side effects or consequences of something that was being pushed out as a good thing. People get dengue fever in many parts of the world. It's quite a serious disease. They developed a dengue fever vaccine, which was just as good as the COVID vaccine is being promulgated against COVID, and they rolled this out in a huge push to get everybody every child in the Philippines vaccinated. But dengue fever has got works in a way that was unforeseen at the time, and what it means is that anybody that catches dengue fever is unlikely to die. It's a very serious disease. It's very nasty, but they're not likely to die. And they're given very good immunity after they've contracted dengue fever.
Right, but we're not. But this isn't dengue fever, though, is it?
No. But I'm just saying this is unintended consequences, and this is not the same mechanism, but I'm saying a similar thing could happen here. The thing is that if you catch dengue fever for the second time, then it's very often fatal. And the problem is that the people that have caught dengue fever once are very well inoculated against dengue fever. They're not likely to catch it the second time. The people that were vaccinated against dengue fever are much more likely to actually catch dengue fever, and it's going to be fatal in that case because they have this. Because the fatal result is as a result of the person having the immune.
I think it's if you haven't caught it, then to get the vaccine, it might make it more likely that you'll have a severe reaction.
Yeah, you'll be less likely.
But that's not this, though. All right, but that's not this, though, is it? I think the science is fairly settled that you're more at risk catching COVID to not necessarily just die from catching COVID, but getting long COVID, which is a pretty severe condition to suffer. You're much more likely to have a negative response to catching COVID than you would a negative response to getting the vaccine, though, surely.
No, it's this is a different thing. A similar unintended consequence that is quite possible. Let's assume that the catching COVID does give you a stronger immune response than the vaccine, which I believe has just about been proven now is the case. In several different ways, you have a better immunity against different strains of the mutations of the virus.
I don't know any of that's true. Until proven otherwise, yeah. I'll believe you. But it doesn't get over the fact that COVID has a fatality rate of about 1 to 2%. So for every 100 people that catch COVID, then you're going to have one to two people die. But that's not the case with getting the vaccine, is it?
No, let me explain. So a young person who doesn't have the vaccine is more likely to catch COVID than a person that has the vaccine, obviously. So now this young person catches COVID. Because they're young and healthy, it isn't a major problem. They get over the COVID, they now have a strong immunity. That same young person has the vaccine, they don't catch COVID, but they have a slightly weaker immunity. Now, go ahead. 40 years.
I understand what you're saying. You're saying that the similar thing might happen with dengue fever. Right. Well, I guess so. But if you read the instructions that come with aspirin, then you might die from that. Stoke Newington. Hello, Keith.
Oh, good evening, Nick. Yes, absolutely splendid to speak with you. I've been sitting here for the last 45 minutes drinking a bottle of wine, listening to this intriguing conversation. But on climate change, I want to say something before climate change about your gentleman, the Irish gentleman who was talking about
corruption.
Corruption. And what's the word? I can't think of the word now.
Sleaze.
No, the other one, Lobbying, yes. Well, I think he's a bit biased in his opinions, and it's got to be said that it was Tony Blair that changed Parliament to allow all these possibly corrupt politicians to get in there to fight his corner. So the Conservatives can't be blamed from that. But
I misunderstood what you just said. Tony Blair did what?
He was the one that changed Parliament, got rid of the inherited heirs of Parliament, and allowed non-elected allowed the non-elected people to get into Parliament, who he says are now all great people who lobby the government all the time. They're lobbyists in Parliament now, which
what did lobbying have to do with Tony? But people have always lobbied before Tony Blair was born, surely.
No, absolutely. But he changed Parliament to allow more lobbyists in there to support his new Labour organisation, wasn't it? So,
well, I'm unaware of that, but it doesn't really make any difference. Birmingham, Gin.
Hi, Nick. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Look, we're going to have to work with them. I hate to say this, but we spent 20 years with all the context as well that your previous callers given. We've worked with them before. We're going to have to work with them now and recognise the fact that they have got the level of support in that country to run it. But quite frankly, even though I hate what their practices, I think you call them barbaric, but if you're going to call them barbaric, by the way, I think you also need to call Saudi Arabia the same. Mm-hmm. I mean, a country that can kill or sentence an individual to death.
There's barbarism all over the world. Yeah, you could level that claim at China, for instance.
Exactly. Saudi Arabia around the corner. If you're gay, you're going to go down for life. If not, be hung. So let's put this into context. That is their culture. I hate the fact that women are going to come off worse off. And if I could click my finger like Thanos, I'd get rid of the Taliban in an instant. But we can't. So I think I'm going to have to work with them, bring them in, and try to change their mindset.
That seems unlikely. It seems more likely that we will work with them, because we in this country have a history of working with some of the most unpleasant people on earth. In fact, the Queen gets wheeled out every time the Saudis come to town, for instance, and she invites them over for tea. So we pick and choose who we support, but to changing their minds, I'm not sure about that. I think once you are a member of a medieval death cult, then you're probably in it for life.
Now, and what I'm trying to say to you is this, Nick, right?
Let's try this one again in Weybridge. Hello, Roger.
Hello, how are you, Nick? How you doing? You all right?
Yes, good, thanks.
Good. I just wanted to talk to you a bit tonight about, I heard some news today about Scotland's death toll from drugs, and kind of thought a simple message to Nicola Sturgeon up in Scotland. Focus more on drug abuse, less on independence, would be my view. 7 years in a row, very high death rate, more than 1,300 today, up from 1,200 last year. Pretty unacceptable, don't you think, Nick?
Well, I don't think it's got anything to do with Nicola Sturgeon, and she is surely capable, with her government, of concentrating on two things at the same time.
Well, I think the evidence would dispute that, Nick, considering the fact of the matter is...
I don't think the evidence shows anything of the sort.
Well, I think the fact is, Nick, when you've got the highest death rate in Europe from drug abuse, that would be a counterpoint to that. Focus more on that, less on independence. That's my view.
Right. Well, it would be extraordinary if a government were unable to concentrate on two things at the same time, like policing and teaching, for instance. But if you say so, Roger. Portsmouth. Hello, Harry.
Oh, yes, hello, Nick. You seem to be labouring under the misapprehension that we've got it worse under Boris, but for 40 years we've been pummeled by the politicians, haven't we?
The politicians?
Have you forgotten?
Which ones?
Have you not seen the bruises?
Which ones?
Well, the ones we got from all those politicians the last 40 years, messing us up, starting wars, shutting down industries.
Right.
Boris is only doing what they always do, the rest of them.
No, it's much, much worse under the current regime. Much worse.
You think he's worse? But what about Starmer, the ironing board, Sir Keir Starmer? We don't even know what he's going to do. He just keeps quiet about everything, doesn't he?
Harry, he hasn't run the country yet. You can't compare prime ministers by comparing one prime minister with somebody who isn't and never has been a prime minister.
But we need to know about what his policies might be. There's no point letting him twiddle another 3 years, and we don't really know what he wants to do to the country.
Well, Harry, just look it up, man. You've already made your decision, and you will not let any information pass your ears. Look it up.
Oh, right. I was going to say, though, but you seem to be labouring under a misapprehension that Boris is a Brexiteer. He's never been a Brexiteer, has he?
Well, he seems to have... I don't think he's anything other than for himself. He will say anything that he thinks will get a positive reaction to his immediate audience. He will say anything in order to get ahead, to acquire more power and money and whatever else he's after. Whether he's a Brexiteer or not, never mind. That's what he has. That's the position that he has landed on. That's what got him to where he is now. So he is a Brexiteer. It doesn't matter whether he believes in it or not. I don't believe that. I wouldn't imagine that half of them who maintain that they're dyed-in-the-wool Brexiteers are actually positive about the scheme that they've got going. God, Steve Baker the other day, actual Mr. Hardman Brexit himself, he said that it was a fiasco. Anyway, thanks a lot, Harry. Tottenham. Hello, Tom.
Hi, Nick.
Tom.
I just got to echo what you were just saying. You know, I think the Labour Party enshrined in law the anti-racist. What you were saying was that you have to get elected in the first place. But are you still there?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, good. I've just got a slightly dodgy phone. You've got enshrined in law, I think it was under the Labour Party, anti-racist stuff, right? Anti-prejudice law. You're not allowed to discriminate against people by regard of who they are, what they are.
Right.
You know, and I think this is absolutely fundamental. And I think this is amazing that we got here. This crazy country actually arrived at that point. I think it's fantastic that they've enshrined it in law that you cannot abuse people on regard of their race or anything to do with prejudice. You know, I think it's wonderful. After all this terrible history, you know.
Right, but how does that relate to where the Labour Party?
I don't know what Keir Starmer has said, but I think that he should be judged on what... not Keir Starmer, I'm sorry, Ken Loach. I had a few, yeah, sorry. I think he should be judged on what he said or did and not anything else.
Right.
You know, as far as, I don't know, kicking him out of the Labour Party or what have you. You know, it's really important... You know, it was really serious what happened with the Holocaust.
Right. Yes, we can agree on that. Thank you, Tom. Hitchin. Hello, David.
How you doing, Nick?
Good, thanks.
I've got it right this time. Yes. Last time we talked about was the vapors and that telling joke. Anyway, right.
What?
My dad... sorry.
Yes?
Last time we spoke, we was talking about the vapors.
Oh, yeah. What, you've got a fit of them?
Anyway, I have. I've just banged my knee.
Ouch.
Tell me about it. No, I'm telling you about it.
Right.
No, anyway,
get on with it.
I was supposed to be going... get on with it, yeah. I was supposed to be going to a beer festival today. My dad's 81. We went there, and in the local paper... And there's no beer festival. He's got the dates wrong. It's next weekend. Anyway, So we turned up there, and we arranged. We ended up having in the hotel having a few drinks, and anyway. Question for you, Nick.
Yes.
See if you can get this. Right.
What? This
Do
is
you know whether
this is like a quiz now.
Yeah, we'll turn it into a quiz if that's okay with you, sir.
No, it's not okay with me. What's your question?
Okay, right. My question is whether that daylight robbery. You was talking about something before that.
Oh my God, you're all over the place. Booze could be responsible, but I'm not entirely sure.
Right.
Where did daylight robbery come from? Is that what you're asking me?
But,
right. Okay.
yes.
I'll look that up. I mean, you could look it up. Do you have the internet where you live?
No, I know the answer to it.
Well, what is it?
It comes from when they used to brick up the houses. It was like a tax back in the days.
Oh,
but,
right.
what I wanted I've cut to the chase.
The window tax.
Yes.
Yeah.
But back to the vapors. I know you're not going to do any homework, but a really good version on YouTube, the Vapors remix, extended version. It's well worth a listen to.
Okay.
Can you tell me something then, Nick?
No.
Can you tell me something?
Yeah, no, probably not. This is another question now?
No.
But you want me to tell you something, but it's not a question?
No, just tell me. What I wanted was, you know, all your samples that you got there, like your press and the cow sound and all that, and all the rest of it.
Yeah. No, you can't.
Bye-bye.
0345 6060 973. We don't take requests. Do I sound like Anne-Marie Minhall to you? West Midlands, Ralph.
Hi there, Nick. How are you?
Yes, good, thanks.
Well, I've got a joke for you tonight, but that Nigel Fry joke was too funny for a radio station.
A joke? Well, we don't do jokes.
Oh, well, I've got one for you anyway.
Yeah, but we don't do jokes.
Oh, it's all right. It's not a joke. It's something very serious. You've got to think about it. What's the link between... What's the link between a dartboard and Boris Johnson?
Wow, we'll never know. What's the link between a dartboard and Boris Johnson? We'll never know. Literally never know the answer to that question. Isn't that sad?
No.
Camden. Hello, Claire.
Hi, Nick.
Claire.
Last week, when I spoke to you, we ended our conversation too quickly. So
I don't think so.
So the listeners were left with the impression that we are not allowed to have sexual relationships because of the whole situation. But
Wait. Back up. We are not allowed to have sexual relations. You mean one isn't? Not we aren't.
One. Yeah, one. Yeah.
One is not allowed to have sexual relations with somebody else? Or why is that then? Because of the situation? What situation?
Because of the regulations.
Regulations. Something Priti Patel brought in, was it?
Yes. But I wanted to add that one is allowed to have sexual relations, provided that one
takes precautions.
That one stays in a certain position.
Oh, please. I don't think I want to talk about positions.
Which is the socially distanced position.
Yeah, you stay in your flat, and the object of your desire stays in their flat.
Well, 2 meters away is enough.
Right, with a thick wall between you. Yeah. Enjoy.
And also one can spice their love life using masks and everything.
Oh, right, everything. Well, that leaves everything to the imagination. Thank you for leaving everything to the imagination, Claire.
So this is what I wanted to reassure people about.
Right. Well, we only deal with the issues on this show, so thank you for bringing that one up. And I apologise for not allowing you to bring this up last time we spoke. I probably ended the conversation just in time.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. Anyway, if you have a nice time, send us a postcard. All right, Claire?
And also, I want to say something else.
Yeah. God, where's this going?
Regarding more recent developments.
Recent developments, yeah.
Yes. This, I forgot his name, the man who went
Boris
to
Johnson?
Him, and also the man who went to 30 different countries.
Oh, yeah.
Without self-isolating after that.
Yeah. Alok Sharma.
Yes. If money were no object, I would do the same. And after that, if they take me to court, I would sue them just to prove that I would be.
Yeah. You're a free person. You're not a number. You're a free person.
to prove that and challenge them to prove that I am able to distribute or carry more viruses than them.
Right. Well, given the tenor of the conversation that we've just had, it's quite possible that you're up to your eyeballs in all sorts of exciting disease. I'm sorry. I apologise. I had no idea I was going to say that.
I am very sorry that I screwed up.
Thanks a lot, Claire. Here is call in Shoreditch. Hello, James.
Hi, Nick. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Sorry, you caught me off guard there.
Shall I put you on hold?
No, it's fine.
Okay, then.
So, I'd heard you talking about the Olympics, and I've recently got back into skateboarding in my early 30s.
Oh, my God. No. Early 30s? No. It's a no from me.
It's good exercise.
It isn't good exercise. It's not good exercise. It's riding along on wheels. How is it exercise?
No, you have to push.
Push.
It's like running with one leg.
Yeah, no. Seriously, James, anybody over the age of 20 should not be on a skateboard. Not now, not ever, never.
But you enjoyed it in the Olympics,
Yeah,
right?
It was great fun looking at, but I don't want to do it.
No, I didn't say you have to do it. Although, is there nothing from your youth that you want to redo? Like those hoops and sticks or whatever it was you played with back then? Sorry.
I want you to stand still against this wall. All right, thanks a lot, James. Lester, hello, David.
Hello. I was going to raise a point that was raised in the news and that you've already raised about Scotland's drug problem. I'm looking at the Scottish Drugs Forum, and Scotland has almost 60,000 people with the drug problem. That is a higher proportion of the population than any other country in Europe.
Yeah, it's been that way for as long as I can remember. I don't know why this is news.
Yeah, well, it was mentioned in the news and you've talked about it.
Yeah.
But it goes on to say, as part of the media coverage of the latest drug death statistics, I received a call from Slovenia, a country the same size as Scotland, but with only 19 drug-related deaths in 2017. Scotland's latest figure is 1,187.
Right.
Now there is no data on this
I wonder in
article.
Slovenia, because, I mean, Eastern Europe is notorious for alcohol abuse.
Booze.
So I wonder if they're not counting alcohol abuse, which should, of course, be counted.
Well, I'm not getting into it. I'm just saying about the Scotland being the worst drugs capital of Europe.
It's been that way for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, but earlier you lumped it in with the UK.
Well,
and my point is that Scotland wants its independence, so why can't we independently record their drug problem?
Well, we can. I just
Good
didn't
then.
have those. I just didn't have those figures to hand at that moment.
Okay, but it is Scotland where the problem is. Yes, there is a problem in England, Wales, and Ireland.
Yeah, there's a problem
but it's
everywhere.
It's not as big a problem.
Well, by a small increment, it's not as big a problem. No, but there's a problem everywhere with drugs. The problem with drugs, with the illegal drugs, is they're illegal. But first, here's a call in Manchester. Hello, Louise.
Oh, hi there, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Hello. Right, yeah. A call out to Ken Loach, a call out to Jeremy Corbyn of Hurrah Hooray, and 13 million has gone missing under Keir Starmer from the Labour Party, and he's lost loads of members.
13 million? What?
Yeah, funds. The funding has gone down. The money that Jeremy Corbyn actually fought hard to get, financing to the Labour Party, it's all been squandered.
Squandered?
Yeah, I know.
I'm just repeating what you're saying with a question mark on the end. What do you mean squandered? We squandered £13 million on what?
Well, you'll have to ask the present incumbent.
Well, he hasn't bought anything. I mean, he's not going around in a roller or a yacht. How's he spent 13 million quid?
Who knows? Anyway, I rang in actually, and I wished I was in Glasgow. Last time I was in Glasgow, I saw about 4 cones on the head of the said statue.
Yeah, the Cheeky Wellington.
The Cheeky Wellington, yeah. Anyway, I rang in about Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, goes from sublime to sublime, doesn't it? Anyway, Tolkien's masterpiece. Who are we going to get in the lead roles in in Tolkien's work, do you think?
You're talking about the TV programme they're making?
Yeah, and what's it going to be?
That's just relocated to, are they going to Ireland or England? I think it's England, isn't it? Maybe. Because they were filming it in New Zealand, but New Zealand is being run by a person who's quite keen not to have all their citizens die of the invisible menace. So they've got this strict lockdown there. Nobody in, nobody out, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So we're going to have lots more people jetting in and, and sound crew and, you know how it goes, don't you?
Well, if we don't have people jetting in, then this country is going to go belly up. I mean, we depend so much on tourism and the tourists just ain't coming no more. And I can't imagine that they will in a short period of time because we pretty much missed summer. So they ain't going to come in autumn for fear of the, of getting it. And they don't come over winter anyway. So every business, every gallery, every restaurant and bar and hotel, all the hotels, they're all going to have to wait till next summer. I don't think they're going to make it.
Well, I'm just dreading this latest and seeing how they're going to couch it because... oh my God, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking as we speak at something that Theo McCallum sent me when I wrote to him quite a few years back.
Who?
About Theo McCallum, who played Gandalf in
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You shall not pass. Yeah, that bloke.
That's the one. And he's lit by, all these rays of sun behind him and all the rest of them are sort of like in the forest of Mirkwood. And they're sort of bending saying, who's Harry? Oh, I've come back as a...
Louise, I'm hearing a noise from you, but not really detecting any words. It's just a noise. You're running all your words together. Take a breath. Calm down. What is it you're trying to say?
Well, I'm just concerned about Lord of the Rings, really, because I don't want it messed about with.
Right, okay.
Because we have so much messed about in this country. I don't want it to go to Lord of the Rings.
Okay, well, you have the option of not watching it. Thanks, Louise. Greenford. Paul.
Hello, Nick. Whether Ken Loach, the Israel connection, I mean, since the 40s, Palestine, the red line of the British Empire conductors, but... I think what it is I think the Holocaust, I think, definitely happened. I mean, it wouldn't be in the 4th floor of the Imperial War Museum, would it, if it didn't?
It's not up for discussion. Of course it happened. Yeah, but let's go past that.
Yes. Yeah, I think the Labour Party's been dogged, and Keir Starmer has to be elected. But to be a formidable opposition. But this infighting since Corbyn. But yeah, I think Corbyn maybe had a right to his opinion, but he did seem rather almost not communist, I wouldn't say. But Karl Marx, he was a Jew, and he started it all off. So the communists. So blah blah blah.
Okay. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. All right, well put. Let's have a call in Bingley. Christian.
Hi, Nick. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, it's the first time I ever called you, so I locked my head off. I dropped the phone off 3 times because it was just so ridiculous.
Sorry about that. Sorry about the ridiculousness. I apologise.
I am very sorry
your fault.
that I screwed up.
Your callers are ridiculously funny. Yeah, funny. I want to apologise, actually.
Go on.
I voted Brexit.
Right. How's that going? How's it going for you?
Well, there's no food on the shelves.
Yeah.
There's no people driving the lorries.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to believe them, and that's the difference. I didn't believe them, but I wanted to believe them.
Yeah.
And I got conned, as we all did.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, there it is. You heard it from the horse's mouth. Conned, you say?
Yeah, but there's a difference, Nick, that by believing and wanting to believe, and there's a difference there, isn't there, really?
Well, I think you've made the first steps. You've admitted that you've been conned, which is a big
I
step.
also voted for Boris Johnson as well.
Right. Oh my God! It's like we've got a full house here.
So you're like a priest, and I'm like one of the disciples.
Right.
And,
well, I forgive you, my son. Just don't do it again. That's all.
Yeah, am I allowed to call back? And just say
in a couple of years. Yeah, once you've made your.
But just tell James O'Brien not to just like say "I told you so" all the time, like you do. Just come into the place.
Yeah, okay, I'll pass it on. Yeah, all right, thanks a lot, Christian. I mean, I don't like saying I told you so, but I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. Harrow, Rav.
Hi, hello?
Yes, sir.
Hi. On the topic of education and the grades that have come out, before I say anything, can I just give you a little bit of background on myself?
You've said something already.
I have? Okay, so... are we arguing that too many people have got 9s and 8s and 7s?
If that means
which basically means A star,
yes.
double A star.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Okay, yeah, we are. Okay, now, please do not take it away from those people who are 16 years old and they've got those grades and they're on top of the world right now. Okay,
yeah, it's not their fault.
No, of course it's not. Of course it's not. Now, in years to come, I predict, and I think it will be true, in about when they get jobs, when they go to apply for a job, it will be very, very difficult for them because this is the COVID year. Okay, they did not sit an exam. Whether they deserved a double A star is, well, I can't even say
it's debatable.
It's debatable, yes.
Depending on who we're talking about. Every student is different, but if they all have the same result, then you can't differentiate between them. That's what the grade system is for.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's go back a bit. We had the O levels. Okay, everyone got. If you got an A at O level, it's amazing. Yeah. Then you go into your GCSE. Then you got an A star. Oh, that's even better.
Yeah,
then we've got to a situation
science
where
fiction, amazing. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's got to the grading system itself is faulted. It's literally into a point where you're classing people or students itself into a little bracket,
No,
So-
not little brackets, huge, giant brackets. It used to be relatively small brackets. An A star meant something. Now, if
Yeah.
everybody gets an A star, then it doesn't mean anything at all. You're just repeating my argument to me.
Yeah, now, so what do you think will happen in terms of like university applications and future jobs from
Well,
that?
I think the university will have the difficulty of not knowing the difference between students, because they'll be looking at the piece of paper and everyone will get an A, and so how can they tell the difference between students? Who's the brightest? If everybody gets an A, then it's impossible to tell the difference between those students, so they'll have to do it in some other way. And I betcha that they will look at what school they went to. And if you went to a top-paying private school, come right in. And if you didn't, you don't.
Right. Also, with the extracurricular activities. Now, you're saying private school. Do we really think that the universities are actually going to look at the fact that you're from a
Yes.
private school
Yes.
and say, "Oh, he's from a private school,"
Yes.
or "She's from a private school"?
Mhm.
Therefore, more suitable
Yes.
for this course.
I do think that.
You do?
Yeah, and you said that extracurricular activities is something that might swing it for them. Yeah, well,
I think so.
which type of school provides more extracurricular
Now,
curricular
I'm going to say
activities?
private. I'm going to say private.
Of
Yeah,
course.
You're right. I'm going to say private. Yes, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right on that point. I mean, look, how do you bring up points? It's all about the point system. You've got, like, this is exactly why the A's were reduced, well, not even reduced, sorry. A star and double A star is, okay, why change it to a 9 and an 8? Just stick to A star and A.
Right, I have no idea what you're talking about anymore. You seem to be complaining to me, but by repeating my argument to me. You're saying what I'm saying. So I agree with me. Thanks a lot, Rav. County Durham. Hello, Sean.
Nick, mate, this is doing me head in, right, mate? Why isn't Banksy not being brought up to justice for breaking the law?
I don't know why that people are perpetuating this notion that nobody knows who he is. I think that people know exactly who he is. I mean,
Well, somebody's got to be giving them a lift to these stupid walls.
people know exactly who he is. I think wasn't he unmasked a good long while ago? People in the art world know who he is. It's sort of pretense. He has been identified. Why are people pretending that they don't know who he is still? Because that's part of the brand, isn't it? This mysterious figure that just comes and goes in the night. Nobody who he is. Nobody knows who he is. Isn't it exciting?
Do you not think he's breaking the law, like?
Of course he is.
So how's he getting away with it, like?
Because people have been persuaded that it's art, whereas to my eyes it just looks like cartoons. It's a joke. Each one is a joke. Some are funnier than others, and that's it.
It could be one of the Tory parties, you know. Well, one of the Tory could be Boris Johnson.
Well, no. Somebody slightly more svelte than Boris Johnson. I think he's a bit lighter on his feet than Boris Johnson. No, it ain't him. But I'll keep my eyes out and I'll let you know if I find out to the contrary. Thanks a lot, Sean. York. Hello, Stuart.
Hey up, mate. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
First time listener.
Good man.
Yeah, I've got my friend here, Lawrence, who's a long time listener. Lawrence Weston from York. Just wanted to ask you what you thought about whether Brian Clough would have made the best England manager ever.
I've got no idea is the answer to that question.
You're not into football then?
No, I like watching Match of the Day, but it's not
Match of the Day's not football.
Match of the Day's not football. By what measure?
Basically because it's highlights
of
football.
I'm joined now by Matt Finnegan. Matt Finnegan, an advisor to the current Labour Deputy Leader Angela Rayner, but then resigned from the party entirely in 2019. So what do you make of this decision from the Labour Party to expel Mr Loach then, Matt?
I think it's welcome, long overdue, better late than never, really.
Why do you say that?
I think because although Loach may well have been a veteran filmmaker, he's also been a veteran anti-Semite, and those views are not compatible with membership of the Labour Party. He should never have been admitted in the first place. He had a record of standing against Labour in previous elections. 2015, I think, was the most recent. But his record on anti-Semitism has been, frankly, appalling. And finally, Keir Starmer has managed to start putting Labour's house in order and cleaning it up, because there's no room in the Labour Party for anti-Semites like Loach. This is not about his filmmaking, some of which are very good. I like and approve of some of his work as a filmmaker, but I don't approve of his comments in support of anti-Semites and his own questionable comments about the validity of discussions on the Holocaust either. I just think that that's an untenable position for any member of the Labour Party to
All right,
take.
well, let's take the last one first then, about the Holocaust. That goes back to an interview that he did in 2017, wasn't it? He was asked if Holocaust denial was acceptable, and he said, "History is for us all to discuss. All history is our common knowledge and heritage to discuss and analyse. The founding of the State of Israel, for example, based on ethnic cleansing, is there for us to discuss, so don't try to subvert that by false stories of anti-Semitism." That was his answer in the interview. And then he sought to clarify what he'd said, and he wrote a letter to the New York Times, which basically rode back on that. He said that, during the confusing interview, one question and answer overlapped. And he specifically said, "My words were twisted to give a meaning contrary to that intended." He said, "The Holocaust is a real historical event, is as historical and real as World War II itself, and is not to be challenged." So that's pretty clear, isn't it?
Well, he said that the Holocaust was up, the existence of the Holocaust, and he was referring to a fringe meeting, which is, did the Holocaust exist or not? That's not a question for debate in the Labour Party. It may be amongst some extreme groups, both on the far left and on the far right, but it's not a question that anyone in the Labour Party should even begin to consider.
Right, but he couldn't have been more clear in his affirmation that what you just said is correct, that it is not for debate, it is real, it is a historical event, just as much as World War II itself. So to accuse him of Holocaust denial is stretching it a bit.
Well, I think he rode back because he knew that his position was increasingly untenable, really. I think he was trying to spin what his real views were, and his real views came out in that interview, that the Holocaust is something that can be debated. Well, it isn't.
Right,
simply isn't.
Okay, well,
it's a black and white issue.
All right, well, I'll have to leave that there, because it seems to me that he did make clear his opinion, and I don't think you can get any clearer than the message that he sent to the New York Times.
Apologise. Well, you can't, He
didn't apologise, he clarified. It's a big difference.
Okay, well, one of the people Loach has been in full support of was a chap called Pete Gregson, who said the Holocaust was exaggerated, and he attended meetings with a neo-Nazi group. Now, you're known by the company you keep as well. So not only is he a Holocaust denier, but he associates and supports those who are even stronger in their denial than he was in that interview.
Right.
So I think,
it seems that we've dealt with that Holocaust denial part. He appears to absolutely not be a Holocaust denier, and as opposed And as for consorting with or hanging out with people that have opinions one way or the other, you can't pin that on him. But let's talk about... let's leave that there.
Something else that we can pin on him is that those Labour MPs who attended the Enough is Enough protest against anti-Semitism, he said they should be expelled from the Labour Party. Well, this is the pot calling the kettle. I mean, for goodness sake, it should be the other way round. He should never have been a member of the Labour Party in the first place. For his record on anti-Semitism and his campaigns against Labour in the past, his active campaigns, not just vocal or voting against Labour, but actually campaigning and standing against Labour as well. So, that's yet another reason. The guy is, we know people by the company he keeps, and the company he keeps is beyond the pale, in my view.
Right. Well, you did mention this Enough is Enough protest, and that was from 2018. That was a protest against anti-Semitism in the Labour Party, and he was quoted at the time, Ken Loach. He said that those 30 Labour MPs who joined that protest were the ones we need to kick out. Yeah. And he did say that claims of anti-Semitism were exaggerated or false. Do you not think that that claims were exaggerated by the right-wing Tory-supporting press in order to bring Jeremy Corbyn down?
I don't know. This is not an argument about the right-wing Tory press. This is about Labour's values and whether it can give an open-door policy to people who espouse such views. So 13 MPs who attend a rally against anti-Semitism should be expelled. Why? Because they oppose anti-Semitism. Really? Is that the kind of Labour Party people want? Certainly not a Labour Party that I feel any connection with, if that's the trend. But, I sort of believe that, Starmer is finally clearing the house up, really. He's shut the door firmly in the face of people like Ken Loach, and there are others who should also receive exactly the same treatment. There is no place for them. There is no room in this House of Labour for people like that.
What Keir Starmer also seems to be shutting the door in the face of is just general support. He may be trying to undo some of the negative things that have been, associated with Labour under Jeremy Corbyn, regardless of whether they're true or not, the validity of them, that's what he's been doing. But it's not working with the public, is it? Even in this incredible period that we've been going through, Boris Johnson's popularity has gone through the floor, yet Keir Starmer's has done the exact same thing. He's not punching through at all.
Yeah, but I think that's a different argument. And I also think that Corbyn's legacy runs very deep, really, and it's going to take some time and some hard work and some tough decisions for Starmer if he's going to regain the trust of people who are currently not minded to vote Labour. I think this is a long haul back for Labour. It's not going to happen overnight. We're in the middle of a pandemic. It's difficult for him to make inroads when all of the news, apart from the tragedy of Afghanistan today, has been about COVID. I think it's just difficult, but step by step, bit by bit, sooner rather than later, Starmer appears to be putting the building blocks back in place to make Labour once more a party of the mainstream, which appeals to the centre-left in this country.
Well, there's no evidence. There's no evidence of that so far. I mean, you say that it's a different argument, and that is true, but it's really part of the same issue, isn't it? That people don't even know what the Labour Party stands for anymore, and the only news that you get from Labour is internal fighting. I mean, it's so typical of the left to take a golden opportunity, like an open goal that they've got with Boris Johnson and this current regime, and miss it by a country mile because they're too busy infighting and trying to win a purity test.
Well, you can't have it both ways. It's not a purity test. It's about putting Labour's house in order. It's about doing the right thing, regardless of the electoral consequences, which I think will be, over time, will show that there is support for what Starmer is doing, really. I do think that Corbyn's legacy runs deep in the minds of the British people. The guy was defeated with, a record Tory majority just a short while ago. And, it's going to take time. You've got to be patient. The damage has been immense. It's going to take a long time to come back from that. Maybe not in the next election, maybe the one after, maybe. But if Starmer keeps on doing the right thing, and this is the right thing in expelling people like Loach, then hopefully, fingers crossed, it will come good.
The public aren't very familiar with many of the faces on the front bench of the Labour Party. They will be familiar with Ken Loach, or at least his films, and it does seem to be self-defeating at this point to continually highlight what it is that, and I'll say it again, the right-wing Tory supporting press in this country have concentrated on as far as the Labour Party is concerned, and that's this anti-Semitism. They're doing the Conservative Party's work for them by continually highlighting this issue. They didn't have to throw him out. They could have just let him be, and then we wouldn't be having this conversation.
But Nick, with the greatest respect, I suspect that today very many Labour frontbenchers, or there have been serious statements from Labour frontbenchers about the tragedy of Afghanistan that's unfolding in front of our eyes. Yet you are, the media, or certain sections of the media, are giving prominence to this issue when actually there are far more important things happening in the world than the fate of Ken Loach, to be honest.
Well, yes, I understand that, but we do report on the news, and the Labour Party have made this the news. I mean, they can't expel somebody quietly who is famous and whose work is well known and widely regarded. I mean, the Labour Party, Keir Starmer, made this a headline news item. It's not my fault. It's not the media's fault.
No, but the focus, this is, at the end of the day, Ken Loach will be a footnote in Labour's history, but Labour's policy on Afghanistan will be far more important. I don't even know what it is, frankly, because I haven't heard very much about that policy on the news today.
Yeah, well, that's a problem of the Labour Party in general at the moment, that nobody really knows what their policies are on anything other than this sort of rooting out of the enemy within. Just finally, let me ask you this. The Equality and Human Rights Commission looked into this in 2020. And they came up with instances in which they would say that the Jewish community had been maligned and treated badly by the Labour Party. But they said, while this investigation considered discrimination and harassment in one political party, such matters are by no means an issue for the Labour Party alone. And yet, it's only the Labour Party that seems to draw attention to this.
I think the Labour Party, being true to its values, has to give a lead and has to say and be very firm. Yes, of course, there are elements of anti-Semitism elsewhere in the political world, but Labour has to put its own house in order first, and it's showing, Starmer is showing some strong leadership by sorting issues like this out. Sorry, I'm repeating myself, but, thank God, he's finally shown some bottle. This is 4 years after that infamous interview that Ken Loach gave. But finally, better late than never, really. And that is showing some leadership and is showing people in Britain what Labour's values are, which are certainly not anti-Semitic.
OK, thanks, Matt. That's Matt Finnegan, a former advisor to Labour's current Deputy Leader, Angela Rayner. Matt resigned from the Labour Party in 2019. Chiswick, hello, Sean.
Hello, Nick. Good evening.
Sean.
Summer's almost gone.
Don't say it.
Yeah, well, it's Friday the 13th.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask your beliefs about superstition.
Superstition is the way. Everybody sing.
Rock and roll! Yes, well, I mean, according to the weather forecast, you know, we've got very little to look forward to except Jesus' birthday, you were saying.
Yes.
Yeah, so do you think that...
You're going to be with us before you know it. But
Oh,
you know what? I actually took a picture. I was stunned. Rocked back on my heels I was. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I was waiting for a bus outside Clapham Junction, minding my own affairs. And there was a woman... Wait a minute. You're never going to guess it. There was a woman dressing the window of a charity shop with a Christmas tree.
There was a woman dressing... do you know what my English teacher told me once?
Shut. If you stop talking so much, then you might be able to pay attention and learn something.
I want to know whether you think the pandemic has changed the march of the seasons, and that's whether the seasons have actually changed.
Right. What's that got to do with a woman dressing a Christmas tree in a charity shop window?
A man eating haggis in a kilt, do you mean?
Exactly. What on earth was that about? I couldn't believe it. I actually took a picture of it. I forgot I'd taken a picture of it. I was going to squirt it up the internet. There was a woman, deliberately and in full daylight, dressing a Christmas tree in a charity shop window, next to a sign that said, Christmas has come early, or something like that. In fact, I'll examine the picture, the evidence. I've got it in the palm of my hand, as a matter of fact. One moment, please. I'll sort her out. Don't you worry about that. Where is it? There it is. Look. Deliberately and with malice aforethought, putting together a Christmas tree in a charity window. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, is the sign in the window. No, it isn't. Don't even think about it. Anyway, have we dealt with you, Sean?
Yeah, no, just finally, what do you think of the Greens, or what chances do you think the Greens have got in the upcoming European elections?
The European elections? I don't know. I don't know what...
Well, they've been leading most of the last year.
Have they? Leading?
Apparently, but I think they'll cave in at the last moment if we don't watch out.
Okay, anything you say, Sean. Thanks a lot, mate. Dagenham, G-Day.
Oh, hello. Is that Nick?
Yes, sir.
Oh, hello, Nick. This is the way I see it. This whole project of leveling up, boils down to redistribution, really. When you're redistributing to areas where industry has virtually disappeared, except you magic these industries again, you basically have to take money out of the pockets of people who can afford it and put it in the pockets of these people who are suffering, who are not so well off. Politically, I would love the follow scheme to go on. But for how long, so that is fiscally conservative, how long will you continue borrowing before how will he make the choice of raising taxes for the Tory base, which is basically wealthy people? I don't know, it's an impossible situation. I would love it to keep on going on. Everybody wins that way. Not everybody wins, but that's how things keep on rocking on. But
right, okay, but that's not really how a decent society is organised. That people who don't win, as you put it, just get thrown to the wayside. I mean, if you don't have to go full socialism in order to have social care and concern. Fulham, hello, Wendy.
Hello,
Wendy.
Yes, I was just going to say, the guitarist in Slade, I did his hair. You know the one with very straight hair, Nick?
Yes, I do. Yeah, but sort of lank, straight hair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Noddy, because he's got sort of curly hair.
No, well, he's got very thick hair, hasn't he? Yeah. No, it was the other, I don't know, guitar or bass or what. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, I know the one you mean. It kind of looks like a wig, doesn't it? He had the worst haircut.
Gosh.
It was sort of cut really high up on his forehead and then really, really long. It's like the worst haircut of anybody I've ever
well, thanks
seen.
very much.
That was you, was it? Dreadful.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Anyway.
Well, you must have been under instructions.
From him, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not your fault.
Well, okay. And the other thing was...
And another thing.
Yeah, I just want... I thought, my plugs are getting a bit grubby looking, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
That's way too much personal information.
Oh, no. My bath and my kitchen sink, Nick.
Right.
And,
yes.
What did you think I meant?
Well, let's not go into that. Well, you want to give them a clean, Wendy. What are you bothering me about that for?
No. Well, because I went out to buy new plugs.
Yes.
And now I'm a bit sort of baffled, really. Because,
how to install them?
Well, they're not the right size.
Oh, well, you should have
Now,
bought.
is that
you should have bought the right size.
Brexit? Yeah, but
Is it Brexit?
Yeah.
Yes, it actually is Brexit. Yes. Thanks a lot, Boris Johnson. You've ruined this woman's plugs. Thanks a lot, Wendy. He used to have the worst haircut. Look it up on the World Wide Wait, I double dare you. Nobody in the history of rock, and there's been some pretty dreadful haircuts, no one had a worse haircut than that bloke. The guitarist out of Slade. It's hard to describe. It's really, really long, apart from it changed a bit, down the years. But it's long at the back and the sides, but the front is cut almost like a monk cut. It's just terrible. Really bad. I mean, off the scale, awful. Rickmansworth. Hello, Keith.
Hello, Nick. Like countless numbers of people, Nick, we love your show. But like Annie of Colmforth, we're also very disappointed in your approach to Ken Loach, who probably one of the greatest directors that we've produced in this country.
Oh, so depressing.
And well, some parts of life are depressing.
Yeah,
and
I don't want to be entertained by being depressed.
It can be entertaining in a different way, but the whole point is that the Labour Party have exposed, in the New Labour, that's what they are, New Labour, have exposed themselves to be absolutely unfitted for opposition. And he has no chance of winning the next general election, Starmer. And that, with views like expelling people like Ken Loach, absolutely no chance whatsoever.
Well, okay, but I really don't want to get into it today. Tomorrow, perhaps, if the...
well, I'll ring again tomorrow, shall I?
If it comes up as a topic tomorrow, yeah.
I mean, to me, it's blatant. I mean, Annie is absolutely right.
You know, the problem with the left is that they continually fight amongst themselves. The right wing get in line, all say the same thing, and
but
act
we're all
as,
in line on this. Everybody.
No, and act as a unit in order to acquire or cling on to power. The left, meanwhile, have a massive punch-up amongst themselves, all fall in a major pile, and the right wing just step neatly over them into number 10.
Most people support what Annie of Comfort said.
That's a ridiculous thing to say, Keith, because...
It's not ridiculous.
Of course it is, because most people don't support the Labour Party. I've just given you the actual figures. Most people still support the Conservative Party.
Yeah, but the whole point is that they will continue to support the Conservative Party until we have a decent opposition, and not a Mark II Tory party, which is what Starmer is.
But people say decent opposition, and they mean different things depending on who it is who is saying it.
Well, not a Blair opposition. We had Blair.
Right, but Tony Blair was the most successful Labour politician
of
his or any other generation.
He was successful as a Tory.
This is exactly why Labour will never win, Keith, because they just keep fighting amongst themselves.
They will win because there's going to be mass unemployment in this country, and when that happens...
And I tell you what, people will blame the Labour Party, or they'll blame the European Union, or they'll blame COVID, and they will not blame Boris Johnson.
The European Union or the Labour Party.
They can, and they do. Regardless of whether it's actually their fault, they blame them. Like those two dopes on a boat I was talking about earlier on. I think it was the Batley and Spend by-election. An interviewer was asking them why they'd voted Tory for the first time in their lives.
close to being chucked out.
You know the one that I'm talking about, right?
I do know the one
right,
you're talking
okay.
about, yeah.
And the interviewer said, so why did you vote Conservative now for the first time in your life? You've been Labour voters all this time. And they said, well, because the Labour Party have ruined everything about this place. They've cut the police numbers, and they've closed the police station, and they've cut the magistrates' courts, and absolutely everything about this place has been ruined by Labour, completely misunderstanding that it's the Conservative Party is who did it to them. So it doesn't matter what the truth is. People will blame the party that they want to. They'll blame the party in order to maintain face. If they voted for the Conservatives because he's going to get Brexit done, then they will continue to do that. And the reason that they won't go to Labour is because the exact conversation that we're having now, Keith, is because the left will fight amongst themselves. It's a purity contest on the left. Hopeless, really. I mean, just get it together, people. Otherwise, you're going to be out of power forever. Swansea, Crispin.
Oh, hello. Hello, Nick, yes. Well, I've just thought that I'd tickle your fancy with a bit of a staycation down at Swansea. I mean, you wouldn't believe it.
Are you sucking a lozenge?
Well, no, I was just finishing my rich tea bisque.
Oh.
Generously provided by the co-op lady who was having a couple of dunking her biscuits.
Dunking, right.
Well, dunking's very popular down here. There's quite a few people who like a bit of a dunk.
Yes.
You find a lot of dunkers on the beach this time of year.
You certainly do, yeah. In lorry laybys as well.
All over the shop. Yeah, that's right. But we don't want to go up the lorry lay-by.
No, we don't. No,
we want to go to the beach, Nick, because that's where it's really happening.
I think that I've heard enough. I've heard plenty enough, Crispin. Anyway, what did you call about?
Nick, well, about the actual how everybody's turning into an artist, and Banksy was actually talking to me the other day. Well, I think so anyway. And I bought him an ice cream. He was so interesting. I said, are you that chap who goes around spraying that business or like graffiti and you get lots of money? He said, well, actually, look, hold this spray can. Don't tell anyone, okay? You could do me a favour.
Crispin. Yeah. Is this? Are we being set up for a joke? Yeah, I think so. Okay, thanks a lot, mate. Oh boy, I think the woodwork is squeaking and they're coming out tonight.
Garçons.